Thanks for watching the Digital Native Podcast, the show where we talk to engineering leaders about the products they're building and what they're learning along the way. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. Our guest this week is a thought leader in data and analytics. He's held leadership positions at companies like zulily and Microsoft. He's now the director of product management for all of the GCP analytics product portfolio. Introducing Sudhir Hasbe.
Hi, Ryan.
Thanks for joining, Sudhir. I want to talk about your team, some of the exciting products that you guys are working on. Before we get there, can you start us out just telling us a bit about your background, how you got into technology?
Yeah, thanks for having me here and looking forward to the conversation with you. So my journey started a while back. I was really fascinated by technology, and then getting started in college time. We were getting started with programming, computer science, and then that just got me interested. I was just fascinated by what you could do and the potential with the technology that was there. And my first job that I got after my different training and courses in computer science was with a company called Barn Infosystems. And Barn was it's an ERP system. A lot of organizations, especially in manufacturing, use it for resource planning and stuff like that. So that was my first job. It was a fascinating experience. I'm mostly focused on integrations and connecting Barn ERP with a lot of different applications that you may have within your organizations. And that space just fascinated me, and it's been a consistent theme. I've done various different jobs after that and different things, but integrating data and applications has been one of the most fascinating things I've seen and I've been passionate about, and that's been a common theme across the whole career of mine. So I started my career in Bombay, India, moved to US, stayed in Raleigh, worked for various organizations there. I was at a startup that did RFID devices. I was an architect for integrating the RFID events into various different applications. In Microsoft, I was working in SQL Server, BizTalk Server. Again, BizTalk is an integration server technology, so again, worked there. I was on Azure for a while, worked on some data services there. From there, in Xbox, I was responsible for the content discovery, like search, browse, the core catalog that powers Xbox One and the later releases. And so worked a lot with big data and saw the value of big data powering like real-time live services and the kind of capabilities it can bring. So the journey has been around integrations, leveraging data to power applications, connecting these applications together from a data tier perspective and all. So yeah, just fascinated by technology. One of the things I love about the space is the amount you can learn. It's a never-ending opportunity to learn new things as we go through the journey.
No, thanks for sharing. And I think what's interesting about your story is you kind of came to Google Cloud, and prior you were a customer. Yeah. You were at a company, zulily, and experienced some of the technology. Maybe we're one of the earlier adopters. Can you share that story and how you ended up at Google?
Yeah, actually, let me tell you how I ended up at zulily. So I was at Microsoft. I shipped Xbox One, and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do next in my career, and I wanted to get a new challenge. I'd seen the power of big data powering Xbox Live and what kind of experiences you could build, and I wanted to expand on that experience and go out and do that in an outside environment with cloud computing and all. And cloud was just getting started. A lot of organizations were already adopting it. And I had worked for the CEO of zulily and the co-founder at Microsoft. And so we were talking already about different things I could do and all. And the opportunity came up at zulily to go work on data platform and leveraging data to power the whole business and being a data-driven organization. And so Daryl and Luke, who's the CIO, whom I reported to for 3.5, 4 years there, we talked about it, and they said, hey, why don't you come and help us transform the business and make it more data-driven? And I was like, that sounds a very interesting opportunity. So I joined zulily. When I joined, most of our data infrastructure was running in a colo location, like on a on-prem kind of a data center managed by somebody else. And my first step was I looked at what capabilities we needed to power the business with data. And we had 100 plus analysts across the organization. We were a daily business. So a little bit about Zulily. It's an online retail organization. The organization launches like 9,000 products every day. That is like double of what SKUs you will find in retail stores, regular retail stores. So it's like 9,000 products every day new are getting launched. They last for 72 hours normally, and then they go off. And so the challenge is, how do you take that much amount of content and make it available to users and make sure that it's relevant to them? So the key concept around the whole experience is hyper-personalization. Make sure everybody sees the right product. We know exactly what users are coming in, what they would like. How do we go ahead and create real-time offers and options for them? How do we go ahead and price the products right across 9,000 products? How are you going to do that at scale? There were a lot of interesting challenges. And then shipping, we basically provided great value to moms. That was our theme. And what that meant was we had to keep our operational costs really low. We wanted to ship things in time for our customers. They used to take longer times. Like, this is not like 1 or 2 day shipments. They used to take 10, 15 days. But the whole idea is, how do you reduce cost for our customers? So a lot of interesting challenges, and we needed a data infrastructure that can actually scale and allow us to do all of those things. And when I joined, most of our data infrastructure was falling apart. Like, we were on a really old data warehousing system that used to go down regularly because the amount of queries people wanted to do and analysis they wanted to do was way more than the system could handle. Our Hadoop cluster was on-prem that used to fail regularly. I had I think like 50% of my team when I joined was focused on keeping the Hadoop environment running, not doing stuff on it. Like, it was crazy. So basically, I put a plan together within the first 90 days of what we could go ahead and do with the infrastructure, got a buy-in from the CEO, CIO, and all the other leaders and functional leaders. And we basically marched onto the journey to move to cloud. We moved all of our infrastructure to Google Cloud. I was one of the early customers. I was just fascinated. We did actually a comparison between various different technologies, right? So when I joined, we compared our existing enterprise data warehouse, and we said, if we moved all of this plus the Hadoop cluster in cloud, what technologies would we use? We used lot of it was SQL based. So we compared Hive, Presto, the traditional data warehouse I had with BigQuery, and we were just blown away by BigQuery. We were like, oh my God, I can do so many more things that I just can't do. And I can scale it to hundreds of people, and they can write these complex queries without impacting any of our production environments. And also, so I was just floored by the capability. Over the next 6 months, we literally moved all of our Hadoop infrastructure in cloud. We ran actually Hortonworks distribution on GCP. We were one of the first companies to do that in cloud. And so it was a fun experience. We moved most of our data analytics infrastructure on BigQuery. Over a period of time, we ran most of our, including reporting for our financials, already happened through BigQuery and all. So it was a fascinating journey. I worked very closely with the engineering and product team at Google, being one of the early customers, was able to give a lot of good feedback back and had a lot of help from the engineering team. The good part was I'm based in Seattle. The engineering team for BigQuery was in Seattle, so we had a good collaboration there. So I knew most of the team even before joining Google. So it was a fascinating experience. We got a lot of value. We can talk more about how we transformed Zulily, but at the end of 3.5, 4 years, we finished our transformation. We went through a lot of change within the organization. Everything was powered through from analytics perspective, a lot of big data processing. Everything was powered through GCP with BigQuery, primarily BigQuery, but we also use DataProc, and we also use Composer, which is managed Airflow, and also a lot of the portfolio that I work on today and I'm responsible for from a product perspective was the stuff that I used for 3.5, 4 years. And once we were in a good state of where we wanted to be, I always like to have new challenges every 3 to 4 years. My thing is, what am I learning next? And I started talking to various organizations of what opportunities I had, and the opportunity to go ahead and lead product for Google Cloud's analytics platform came up, and I was like, that seems like the best next step in my career, as well as a place where I could really add value. I had seen some of the challenges as a customer, what we were facing, and bringing that outside in perspective in Google Cloud, I thought would be really useful for the team. And for me personally, it was a huge learning opportunity. It's different to be outside and using the products and being inside and learning from great engineers and product managers and the whole team. And I'm fascinated by level of talent Google has internally. So I always keep learning every day something new. So enjoying my job there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's a great story. I mean, you spoke to kind of your experience partnering with the product team as a customer.
Yeah.
And it's a tribute to you. That's something common and that I hear from my customers is the way that our product team is really actively engaged in partnering with them and wanting to understand what are their challenges. So tribute to you guys. I want to talk more about, BigQuery and the evolution that you've seen from then to now. But prior to that, tell us more about your current role and a few of the products your team is managing.
Absolutely, Ryan. So my current role, I am Director of Product Management for our Smart Analytics platform. The Smart Analytics platform at Google Cloud includes everything from collecting events at scale, real-time events. So I own the messaging layer, PubSub, publish subscribe messaging. I also have, we have a partnership with Confluent for managed Kafka. I am really deeply involved in that partnership. I work with them really closely. So that's all the stuff on real-time events. I have a batch collection of data, like a lot of our customers still run batch processes and like enabling moving data in batch with migration services, transfer services. I have a few of those. The second is after you collect data, you want to process it at scale, make sense out of it, transform it, do data preparation. So we have Dataflow, which is our at scale natively built technology, Dataflow with Beam as the programming model. One of the things I'm fascinated about Google is, I think Google Cloud is one of the only platforms that has so many services that were initially built for Google to run at scale. Think about Google. Google's business is about data, right? We collect massive amounts of data, we process it, we analyze it, and we build great experiences and great products. And so Dataflow is one of those products we internally use. We call it Flume, where we can go ahead and collect massive amounts of event data, process it, and make sense out of it and build applications. So yeah, I have Dataflow, but we also realize there are a lot of organizations who want managed environments for their existing open source services that they run, like managed Hadoop and Spark. So we have DataProc that allows you to go ahead and run managed Hadoop, Spark, Presto, Hive, all the open source components, you can run that. So I have that in the data processing bucket. Along with DataProc, we also have a latest product we launched in Q4 for data integration, Data Fusion. And Data Fusion's main goal is to breaking data silos. I think one of the biggest challenges in organizations is still we have a lot of siloed data on-prem in different applications, different clouds, and you want to bring all of that into a single place so you can process it. And Data Fusion allows you to do that. And then we have a partnership with Trifacta for DataPrep. DataPrep is a great tool for an analyst to go ahead and do data preparation. 80% of the time, data scientists spend on preparation. And so that's the goal of that. And then I have BigQuery, which is one of our leading products for large-scale data analysis, and we'll talk more about that. And then a couple of other things that I have is Data Catalog. I do believe one of the biggest challenges in organizations, talking to a lot of leaders across the industry, is knowing what data people have and what value it can provide. And so catalog is also based on internal technology called Data Hub that we have had within Google. Imagine the amount of data Google has and how finding information from that data is so hard. So data catalog does allow you to go ahead and discover content based on search technology that we have. And then Composer, which is managed Airflow, it allows you to orchestrate all of the services I talked about together. So if you want to stitch all of them together to get value out of it, Composer allows you to do that. And other than that, I partner closely with our Looker team. I was involved in the Looker acquisitions from day one, and it's a great addition to the whole analytics platform at Google Cloud, and I partner closely with that team.
And that's an acquisition that I'm particularly excited about. For prior to Google 2 years ago, I worked at a Looker competitor. Okay. And at the end of that tenure, I think we lost probably 75-80% of our deals to Looker.
That's good to know. No, actually, Looker is fascinating, and the reason when we looked at Looker and compared to other products in the industry, I think Looker comes in with a very different perspective. And the main perspective it comes in with, which is fascinating, is there are two things, right? One, the number of SaaS applications within industry is growing. Like just today in Google, I may have used like 5-10 apps, which are SaaS applications that I'm using, from Salesforce to just name it, Workday, to so many different things. And many organizations are doing that. And having a single view of everything within your organization outside of those applications is one important need that everybody has. And the more important thing is, it's not just the view that is important. You want to build custom workflow applications on top of all of this data and information that we are getting. And Looker's ability, the Looker team likes to say it's 100% APIs, but the whole idea that it's not just a regular enterprise BI tool, but ability to have this semantic modeling layer, building applications on top of that API so that you can have consistent workflow experience on top of all of the information applications you have, I think it's where the world will move to. So I think we believe the puck will be where it will be in future is where Looker is already there. So I think that is why we thought Looker will be a great add to the GCP family.
Yeah, I mean, Google has such a strong story when it comes to data and analytics and such strong technology already. I'm excited to see where we continue to evolve.
Absolutely.
So you speak to, I think what folks will find interesting is you speak to a lot of companies, a lot of customers, a lot of prospective customers. What are some of the trends and common themes that you're seeing when it comes to data and analytics and machine learning?
Yeah, I mean, let me talk about it in terms of, let me talk about technology trends, because there are a lot of business trends and a lot of business leaders will talk about them. Let me start with technology trends. So first of all, within organizations, we need to make decisions faster, and we need a common platform or common data infrastructure that can give you single view across all of your different data sets. And what is happening is there is convergence happening across various different technology pieces. What I mean by that is there is convergence happening between data warehouses, data lakes, and databases. Like, what do I mean by that? Traditionally, what happened was organizations put their data, consolidated data from different sources, put them into data warehouses. But data warehouses, enterprise data warehouses traditionally have been really expensive to scale up. So what did organizations do? I talk to various organizations almost regularly. In next 2 weeks, I'm going to talk to 50 to 100 leaders across various organizations. And consistent theme is it was too expensive to go ahead and store everything in my enterprise data warehouse. Hence, our whole goal is we summarize the data, we aggregate the data, we only keep the recent data. One of the large enterprises, retail enterprises, only keeps like 12 weeks of detailed data, transaction level data in the enterprise data warehouse because it's too expensive to go keep scaling it up. And so what happened was they moved all the remaining data, which was like the actual massive scale data, into data lakes. But they created these silos. And this happened in Zulily with me. Trust me, when I joined, one of the biggest challenges was marketing came to me and said, hey, we want to go ahead and understand the user behavior on the website and link it to the purchase pattern plus the shipping information and all. So person comes in, clicks on few products, adds to cart, and then they didn't convert, they didn't buy. But I want to look at like what have they bought in past, and then what was the shipping time it took, and did we ship it on time? What were the, can we combine that? And we were like, no, because the data lake on-prem had all the behavioral data, clickstream data, but all the detailed transactional stuff was actually in data warehouses. And I think one of the things we are seeing is with advent of cloud and technologies like BigQuery, you can actually converge these technologies and say, hey, you don't have to make those decisions where you silo the data. You can actually interoperate across them. So one of the technology trends is like, going across data lakes, data warehouses. BigQuery can do federation across your data lake. You can fire a query that's on data lake or a database or on BigQuery itself, and you can span your analysis across. And that is one big trend that we are seeing everywhere. I was talking to another customer just yesterday, and their thing is, we're thinking about moving our enterprise data warehouse, and we're trying to pick a solution. And then they were talking about, but we also have this Hadoop infrastructure, MapR or whatever, and they wanted to go move that. The question is like, they're thinking about it in two different decision points. And what I was trying to tell them is, no. You don't want to take your siloed infrastructure and move to cloud and create another cloud-based siloed infrastructure. That convergence, that making sure you are non-siloed is important. So that's one key technology trend. The second technology trend is, I think 2-3 years back, everybody was like, machine learning, AI looks cool. We don't know what we can do with it. We all want to try it, but we don't know what it is. And so, but analysis and analytics was common. Like we've been doing analytics with SQL and different forms of analysis, like basic predictions and all for ages, right? Like 10, 15, 20 years. The key thing that I'm seeing is people who knew data really well can help with machine learning and AI if we simplify the tooling. And people who are really good data scientists, PhDs, they also need to understand the data and do data preparation, because they're spending 80% of their time in like data preparation and data tooling and all. So I think there is a convergence that's going to happen between analysts and data scientists, and there is this democratization of machine learning. And this is where some of the stuff we are doing in Google Cloud to go ahead and simplify machine learning, make it accessible to everybody within the organization at different skill set level. And I will give you a zulily example, right? There were a lot of challenges we had around, hey, what is the predictive time when we can ship a package to customer? Everybody wants to know what's the estimated delivery date. So that's one problem. I want to do segmentation so that I can do campaigns, marketing campaigns. I want to show, hey, there are these customers that haven't come back on the site in last 3 months. I want to do a targeted campaign to them. Can I create an offer from them? That is like, I can do clustering algorithm can be applied. I can run a large scale machine learning model, and I can do a batch processing. And then there is hyper personalization on the website, show the right product to the person when they come in. Now, if you look at that spectrum of decision making, I want to put the most talented folks with the deepest understanding of machine learning and AI onto the personalization side, because that is a complex problem and it's the unique differentiation for the business. And then the thing about estimated delivery dates and the clustering algorithm to do better marketing and marketing optimization, that I want all of my data analysts or marketing analysts, I want them to be able to do that. And this convergence of technologies and simplification and making sure they work across is one of the other trends that is happening. So I think we need to go make it easier and easier for organizations, but that is the other technology trend I see is happening in the world. And then, of course, every organization, a few years back, it was like, should I go to cloud? Today, it is like, how many clouds should I use? And which cloud should I use for which one? And my standard answer is, for analytics, you should absolutely go with Google Cloud. Wherever your data is, we should get that onto the core differentiated capability that we can provide with BigQuery plus various other tooling we have.
Yeah, and for me, I've never had a product where just getting a customer to try it really opens eyes, and it's exciting. Yeah. Just at what it allows them to do. So real time, another area that folks are constantly talking about. I've read that data in real time is 10 to 15 times more valuable than it is 24 hours later.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you speak to how organizations are starting to use this and how they're starting to manage all the insights they're
absolutely.
getting, all their insights that they're getting, in seconds now, and how they maintain a long-term strategy with this kind of
I can absolutely touch on that. Another trend that I did not talk about is this. Most businesses were batch processing based, daily aggregations. I will come in next day, look at a dashboard and decide something. That's changing. A lot of organizations have realized the value of collecting data in real time, making a decision on it, and then giving value back to customers. And I think as human beings, we have become less and less patient on our things. We want everything ordered to be showing up in next day, and we want all the key things to be available immediately. So it's I think tendency towards that. That's what is driving a lot of real-time business decision making. I will give you a couple of examples how organizations are using it. One of our largest users of Google Cloud is a music service online. Most of you already use it. So they collect real-time song play events and finish events. In the real time, they can get it. They can understand what people are playing. They can recommend you what the next song would be, but they can take that data and then decide what royalty payments need to be made to albums and artists and all of that. I think that's a great example of in real time saying which song will be next and what will happen. There's a lot of stuff happening in that world. Another example in Zulily I can tell you is we basically built a whole real-time pipeline. We use that for that we use Kafka and DataProc. In some cases we also use Dataflow. But the thing that we did was in real time we know exactly what users were coming and what they were putting in the cart. Have they not checked out the cart in next, let's say, X amount of time? Do we want to give some kind of an offer, or do we want to? We could show like real-time aggregation of 15 people are looking at this particular product right now. Those kind of real-time just visibility to customers on what products they are interested in, how many people are looking at it. That just makes it easier for people to make better decisions. It's like because our inventory was limited, we didn't want customers to lose out on opportunity to buying that. And when we showed here are the X number of people, it's good for business, but it's also good for customers. And so that is another example. Another great example we have seen is in gaming industry, where you see real-time events coming in for like in-game Candy Crush, for example, what you're doing. Once you know what is the real-time use, like events that are happening, you can give offers back to customers and get them keep them more engaged. Financial services have seen use cases around fraud detection based on anomaly or algorithms and all, where transactions are coming through, can be identified. So almost every vertical I have seen use cases that are actually driving better logistics visibility, better offers, and just making better decisions in real time.
And that music service that you mentioned, I'll be putting that podcast out live on that. As a customer, I think that's what's so special about a lot of this stuff is you see the custom tailored experience that's being delivered at scale.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting as a customer to see what's possible through a lot of these big brands. So BigQuery, you told your story. I think that's one that I want to focus on just for a little bit. Can you speak to what makes that product so special? Maybe start with just kind of a high-level overview of how it's different.
Sure, I can do that. So BigQuery, let me tell you, I think this month is BigQuery's 10th anniversary. So it's been, since we first made it available, now it's like almost 10 years. One of the main things that BigQuery pioneered in the industry, and this is not just BigQuery, I think Google has done this forever, right? Our search technology and our every technology that we do, we built it for scaling horizontally across the globe, right? I think it's global launch capability. So BigQuery started and pioneered the whole idea of decoupling compute and storage and state actually, and scaling horizontally on the storage side as well as the compute side, and providing analytics infrastructure for data warehousing and various type of use cases around analytics. One of the things you can do, the key capability BigQuery has, which is pretty unique, is because of the storage and compute decoupling, pure decoupling of that, and it being connected through a petabit network that Google has, what it allows us to do is we can literally stream tens of millions of events in the storage layer without impacting any performance on your query on the top. It's unique. Like no, none of the other services can claim that kind of capability, because every other service actually has some dependence of compute and storage. So they will basically have to go ahead and use some computations. We basically completely decouple it. So I think that itself is pretty powerful. We also decouple state. What I mean by that is, whenever you're running a SQL statement or command, at every stage, whatever state is required in memory state, like when you're doing joins and group bys and all that, we have a service that actually decouples it, keeps it outside. The advantage to customers is we can pack a lot more queries, and we can automatically scale up and down for your queries that are coming in at every stage of a SQL statement. What that means is we can pack a lot more work across a lot more machines for our customers to provide the lowest price possible, because of the compaction that we can do, or efficiency that we can gain. So I think that is like scalability and an ability to stream is like one of the key capabilities we have. And I think one of the main things that we have looked at, so here is how I think about it, right? Organizations build their analytics infrastructure 10, 15 years back based on enterprise data warehouses that came to market. And I think I will give credit to all of those solutions. They have provided value to customers for 10, 15 years now. And that's great. But when you're looking at where you want to invest your analytics infrastructure dollars, and when you think about what happens for next 10, 15 years, what will last for that, I think BigQuery is set up for that kind of infrastructure. And the reason why I say that is, it's not just about decoupling compute and storage, and infrastructurally we can do that, but some of the stuff we are able to do on top is really great. So one of the reasons why I joined Google Cloud, other than I'm fascinated with analytics and ability to run, was this early stage capability that we were working on with BigQuery ML, ability to run machine learning models inside BigQuery with SQL statements. And I was just fascinated by the piece of technology. It was in early research when I joined, and ability to take that and make it available to mass market, setting up like, your data infrastructure that has embedded machine learning was just fascinating. What we are doing is everybody is trying to take data to machine learning engines. Pick up all the data, move it there. You realize, oh, that's not the right data. Come back, again, change the data, take it. And that is really inefficient. And what we said was in Google, instead of that, we'll take the machine learning engines and move it closer to data. And now you can run models faster, and you can do experimentation faster and all of that. So I think that just shows you, like, at scale analytics, like we are just the best at it. Streaming tens of millions of events, you can do that. And then finally, machine learning embedded, we're just highly differentiated on that. That's one. I do want to talk about one more thing. One of the other key differentiated capability BigQuery has, and has had that from beginning, is this ability to share information globally. So every other solution that you will see in world around analytics is closed environment. What I mean by that is they're always based on infrastructure that has some machines that are controlled, that are smaller, that are built for a company, a thing. But BigQuery, of course, can enable that. So like Home Depot, for example, uses BigQuery, and it's completely controlled environment and nobody else can see what they're doing, but that's there. But BigQuery was also designed to be this global open system that you can use to share information globally. So one of the things we did with COVID-19 happening was we worked with a lot of research organizations and organizations that had a lot of data, like Johns Hopkins and all, and we moved all of that data into public data sets. And we also made all the querying and analysis on top of that free for all the researchers. But now that data is available globally to anybody who wants to fire a query on it. And you can literally go fire free queries on top of this data, analyze and all. And that global scale open system where you can share information across organizations to anybody sitting anywhere in the world to go ahead and do research, it's pretty fascinating and powerful thing. And that's where I think Google can come in and highly differentiate what's possible. And that data is not just being used by researchers and people. I've had a lot of enterprise customers use that to better plan, better logistics movement, and also what should happen, when should you start what. I think there's a lot of interesting innovation happening with that open environment and the enterprise closed environment and mashing that up.
No, I love the way that you shared. I think a lot of folks look at this area and they say, all right, how fast is it? How much does it cost? But we're really changing the conversation to, these are the business challenges and problems that this enables you to solve. And that's to me is what is exciting for customers in the market. The Forrester Wave, data management for analytics came out a few weeks ago. I was excited about, and congrats to you and your team for the work and the validation there. Anything that you're particularly excited about when it comes to the roadmap? There's a few that I am, BI Engine, some others, but speak to some of the products you're excited about.
I will say there are 3 or 4 areas that I will highlight that I'm super excited about. I think one is I talked about BigQuery ML, right? 2 lines of code, 2 lines of SQL allows you to do machine learning. And then it's fascinating. Some of the early customer evidence that we have seen, the kinds of things customers are able to do. We've seen a lot of customers take their customer data, do better segmentation out of it for marketing campaigns and all. We have seen a retailer trying to go ahead and segment their customers and do email campaigns. We have seen that across various different organizations. So I think that is with clustering, K-means clustering capability, you can do that. We've seen customers we just launched in beta matrix factorization for recommenders. So based on what products have been selling well, what products can we recommend? A lot of organizations are struggling right now in this environment, and this ability to take what historically is available, better target and better promote the products that will sell. It's important, and organizations are doing that. But one of the things that was always challenging when we launched BigQuery ML was BigQuery is great for these kind of use cases, for running these large-scale jobs and sending it. But a lot of folks that want to use the same kind of a model that was done on a website for powering millions of users coming in real time to go ahead and do that, they want to use the same model that was done by a data analyst and put it into production that is managed by machine learning engineers and machine learning teams. And how do you bridge that production gap? And so one of the things we are doing is this whole thing in BigQuery ML. You can export the model that was built by an analyst and put it into production with machine learning engine, Kubeflow, anything that understands TensorFlow. So this TensorFlow interoperability. So I'm super excited about this. As I said, this convergence of analytics and machine learning experts, and then just that ability to scan across. I think that is super excited about that, and there's a lot more innovation to happen there. The second thing I'm super excited about is we're going to go GA with connected sheets. This is our ability to use Sheets, Google Sheets. You all have used Google Sheets, whether you used it with the free edition with Gmail and Sheets, or within your organization. But if you have access to it within your organizations, you can really put a sheet on top of BigQuery data. And that, what I mean by BigQuery data is it can be few hundred rows to the one that I use has 20 billion rows. I can take a sheet, put a pivot table on it, and I can do analysis. This is basically, in Zulily, we had hundreds of merchants that actually were trying to make everyday decisions on what products they should put on site, what price they should charge, and they were using spreadsheet experiences. And it was really hard for us to scale that experience. So one of my things when I joined, other than BigQuery ML, was how do I empower that community, which is really good with spreadsheet experiences, but can't access massive amounts of data. And so I think connected sheets with G Suite is going to help there. And that we are just going to take it to the next level with Looker and all the other things that we're doing. And then, of course, you mentioned about BI Engine. This is going to change the game. Basically, you can get to tens of milliseconds to hundreds of milliseconds for all the queries. It's a horizontally scalable in-memory engine, columnar engine. We have this theme internally in Google, always fast, always fresh. So whatever data changes, if you're streaming data in BigQuery, we will make sure that cache is always fresh and you always get the latest data. So I think that working with various BI tools like Tableau, Looker, Power BI, every one of them. I think once that works efficiently by end of this year, I think you will see a completely different kind of use cases organizations will be able to enable.
Yeah, and that's great. And I could continue talking about the product, and obviously the passion comes from you, which is exciting. Want to shift the conversation a little bit more personal for the last few questions. First off, just kind of briefly, any favorite projects that come to mind when you think about your time at Google?
Yeah, I think BigQuery ML absolutely one. Connected Sheets I talked about. There has been one more. I will tell you the vision I had, and then there's a lot more work to be done. So I think one of my favorite projects is when I joined, my thing was we have done so well on the commercial side with Google Assistant, conversationals and stuff. My thing was, why can't we bring that kind of experience to enterprises with data that they have in BigQuery, right? And so we had this vision of data assistants where you can take any data, automatically start leveraging that data, ask questions, but in future have conversations and all. We are in the early stages of that journey, but we will make it happen. If there's one organization that can actually do this and do this really well, I think it's Google, and I'm super excited about that vision and the work that we're doing in that realm, and then enabling organizations to get value from the data. If you think about it, it's actually, we have this theme, I have this theme internally around democratization. And that word is used in a lot of different contexts. For us, it was, I want to democratize machine learning. BigQuery ML, the goal is make every data analyst who knows SQL, give them ability to build machine learning models, use them in production, in batch, and in real-time fashion. So that's democratization of machine learning. Democratization of ad hoc insights and ad hoc analysis. Connected Sheets is that, which is you basically take massive amounts of data in a spreadsheet, and anybody who can use spreadsheets should be able to go ahead and analyze big data, which is not being done yet, right? You have Hadoop clusters and queries and take time and all that. Just remove that, and it needs to be happening. So that's democratization of analysis by everybody in organization. And the third is, how do we basically democratize insights within organizations? Like, I want to get some insight. Why do I have to go to somebody to write a SQL query or build a dashboard for me or build? No, you should be able to just ask a question and get an answer. And I think that is this whole theme of democratization is make it easier and easier for people within organizations to get value from their data. And I think that's what I'm passionate about. So I think that's what we're looking forward to.
Oh, that's great. So you personally, tell us about a time that you failed in your career, and what did you learn from the experience?
That's a good one. I failed quite a few times. So I will talk about one experience, and I will not name names specifically, but one of my failures was I tried to build a data marketplace. I launched a data marketplace actually in my previous role. We launched it in various different countries and all, and I don't think we got to the success with that one. The biggest challenge that I did not realize, what we thought was if I can bring data, really valuable data from different organizations and made it available in a marketplace, people will just jump on it, buy it, and start using it. And what I realized, what I learned from there is reusing data is hard for organizations. Using data within organization, breaking data silos is hard anyway. And when somebody else externally brings in data and says, hey, here, take it and use it, it's even harder. And then also there were a lot of challenges on how the model would work and kind of constraints like, data providers wanted to put and all of that. So my big thing was, I think what is valuable within organizations, and as I've done more and more research in this space, is organizations want data that they can actually join and get value from, and they need help in understanding that. Just raw data, here, take the data, and just go figure out is really hard. The second is, it's not the data that is valuable, the insights are more valuable. So give me something intelligent out of it. It becomes way more valuable. So if you're basically going to do credit decision making, having all the history of some transactions is not relevant. a score that is there for that particular user is way more valuable. And there are organizations that are doing that really well. So I think the big learning was focus on insights rather than just raw data and opening it up. And then also the last bit of it is, this is why internally I have this theme about exchange rather than a marketplace. I don't think selling and monetization is important, but I think first of all, you need to build an exchange model where the providers and consumers can come together, share, and see joint value across the whole ecosystem, rather than trying to go ahead and sell data and monetize. As soon as you start focusing too much on selling, then the whole focus is on how do I make more money rather than how do I add value in the whole ecosystem. So since that learning in my life, I've always focused on not monetization of stuff, but adding value in the ecosystem. The money gets generated automatically if you have the right incentives for like providers and consumers and everybody in the ecosystem. So this is why I love the model BigQuery has with public data sets. Our whole goal is you have the data, get value out of it. And we want to expand that into more and more use cases where we can be this place where you can bring data, share it with different folks and go from there. And that actually is a much better model, I think. And that was my one failure. I've learned a lot, but there are quite a few, I guess.
Thanks for sharing, Sudhir. And the last question I have for you, what's something that folks might not know about you outside of work?
Outside of work, I love traveling. I have been to quite a few countries, and I love traveling. I have twin boys, 10-year-old. My wife is an architect, and we love traveling to different places. Now, actually, what we do is we ask our kids to pick a place that they want to visit, and we basically plan our travel around that. So it's fun age right now. They can build their whole itineraries. They go online, they do the research and all. So I think that's my passion outside of work. I love my work. I love the area that I'm in. And but outside of that, travel, especially with my kids and my wife, is my second passion.
Well, that's great. Well, Sudhir, thanks again for joining today. I'm really excited to share this one. I think you've shared a ton of insight and a ton of information on what your team's up to, why I'm so excited about it, and obviously you as well. But thanks again for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, and thanks to all your audiences too.